You know that feeling, right? That moment you see a brand new car, maybe one you've been dreaming about.
Oh, yeah.
The look, the smell, that promise of just hitting the open road. It's exciting.
Definitely. Freedom.
You can almost picture yourself behind the wheel, windows down.
Yeah, totally.
But then, like, almost instantly, reality kind of kicks in. That little voice asking, okay, amazing, but how am I going to pay for this?
Right. The big question.
Because, let's be real, cars are a huge investment. We're talking thousands, maybe tens of thousands. Sometimes it feels like putting a down payment on a house.
Depending on where you are, yeah, it can be comparable. And most people, they aren't paying cash. So loans, leases, that's the reality.
Exactly.
And this is where it gets, well, complicated. Because not all financing deals are created equal. It's surprisingly easy to make a mistake that costs you quite a bit down the line.
Yeah, turns that dream car into a bit of a financial headache.
It happens more often than you'd think.
Which is why we're doing this deep dive today. We've looked at a ton of research, consumer guides, industry reports, and our mission is simple. Boil it all down, give you the smartest ways to buy or lease so you get the best deal and drive off happy, not worried.
Basically, a roadmap to avoid the pitfalls.
Think of it like your shortcut to making this big decision confidently. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
So, first up, the dealership offer that sounds, well, almost too good to be true.
You mean the 0% financing?
Exactly. Congratulations, 0% interest. It sounds like you can't beat it, right? Free money.
Well, what's fascinating here is, it sounds incredible, sure. But our research consistently shows it's often not the cheapest way to go for you, the buyer.
Really? How so?
Because dealers often make you choose. You can have the 0% financing, or you can have a cash rebate, but usually not both.
Ah, okay.
And sometimes taking that cash rebate, even with small interest rate on the loan, actually saves you more money overall.
Right, you lose the discount if you take the 0%.
Precisely. They offer 0% to move specific cars, maybe older inventory, and they take away other incentives.
Okay, this is crucial. Let's run some numbers.
Yeah.
Because seeing it makes it click.
Good idea.
Imagine a car. List price $30,000. Okay?
Okay, $30K.
Option 1. You grab that 0% financing deal, 5-year term, no interest. Sounds great.
That's perfect.
But the key is you get no discount. You finance the full $30,000. So your payment is $500 a month for 5 years.
All right, total cost, $30,000, exactly.
Yeah.
Simple math.
Okay. Now, option 2. The dealer says, okay, no 0% for you, but here's a $3,000 cash rebate.
So the price drops.
Right. The price is now $27,000. You finance that amount. Let's say you get a loan at maybe 3% interest, also over 5 years.
A pretty decent rate, 3%.
So you finance $27,000 at 3% for 5 years. Your monthly payment works out to be around $485.
Okay, so wait, the payment is actually lower than the 0% option.
Yeah. Lower monthly payment. And over those 5 years, the total interest you pay at 3% is about $2,100. So add that interest to the $27,000 principal. Your total cost is roughly $29,100.
Okay, so let's compare. Option 1, the 0% deal, cost you $30,000 total.
Yep.
Option 2, with the rebate and the 3% loan, cost you $29,100.
Meaning you saved $900 by not taking the 0% offer.
Exactly. And $3,000 is honestly a fairly modest rebate these days. We've seen deals with $5,000, $6,000 rebates.
Wow, so the savings could be even bigger.
Much bigger.
So here's where it gets really interesting. The main takeaway is huge. Always, always run your own numbers.
Crucial.
Don't just grab the headline offer. That advertised best deal might not be the best deal for your bottom line.
It's all about the total cost over the life of the loan or lease, not just that shiny interest rate.
That 0% can absolutely cost you more if you're giving up a good rebate.
Absolutely. Do the math.
Okay, let's shift gears. Let's talk about leasing.
The other big option.
There's definitely an appeal there, isn't there? You see ads for luxury cars, brand new models, $299 a month.
Yeah, the low monthly payment is the big hook.
It feels like you get more car for less money, maybe upgrade more often.
It seems that way. And look, if we connect this to the bigger picture, leasing isn't inherently bad. For some people, like those who always want the newest tech or use it for business, it can work.
Right.
But the fundamental thing people sometimes forget or maybe don't fully grasp is you don't own the car.
It's more like a long-term rental.
Exactly. And with that rental comes rules. specific rules, and, well, potential traps that might not be obvious up front.
Okay, traps. Let's uncover those. I've heard about something called the money factor in leasing. It sounds kind of obscure.
It is intentionally obscure, I think. Instead of a clear annual percentage rate like a loan, leases use this tiny decimal number, like 0.00035.
Yeah, that looks tiny. Like nothing.
Looks negligible, right? But here's the conversion, the trick you need to know. Multiply the money factor by 2,400 to get the equivalent APR. Or, simpler math, just multiply by 24 to get the percentage rate as a decimal.
Okay, so 0.00035 times 24.
Gives you 0.084.
Which is
Right.
8.4% interest.
Bingo. Suddenly, that tiny decimal translates to a pretty high interest rate.
Yeah.
Higher than many car loans you could get.
Wow. That's definitely designed to be confusing.
It makes the borrowing cost seem much lower than it is. It's financial jargon doing its job, unfortunately.
Okay, that's trap number one. What's trap number two? I bet it involves mileage.
You got it. Mileage limits and the penalties. This catches so many people out.
Right. Leases always have those annual limits, like 10,000 or 12,000 miles.
Usually, yeah. And if you go over that limit when you return the car, you pay penalties. Often it's something like 15 cents, 20 cents, even up to 30 cents for every single mile over.
Okay, give me an example. How bad can it get?
All right, say you have a 3-year lease. 10,000 miles a year allowed. That's 30,000 total. But maybe your job changes, your commute gets longer.
Life happens.
Exactly. You end up driving 15,000 miles a year. So over 3 years, that's 15,000 miles over the limit.
Okay.
At 20 cents a mile. That's an extra $3,000 you suddenly owe when you hand back the keys.
Ouch. Just like that.
Just like that.
Yeah.
So you have to be realistic, maybe even pessimistic about how much you drive before you sign. Maybe even buy extra miles up front if you think you'll be close.
Good tip. Okay, trap number 3. Gap insurance. I hear this is basically a must-have for leasing. Why?
Absolutely essential. Non-negotiable, really.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. If your leased car gets totaled, say in an accident or stolen,
Right.
your regular car insurance pays out the car's actual cash value at that time. Depreciation happens fast.
Okay.
But the amount you still owe on the lease contract, especially early on, that could be much higher than the car's current value.
The gap.
Exactly. That gap between what insurance pays and what you owe could be thousands of dollars. You'd owe money on a car you don't even have anymore.
Terrible situation.
Gap insurance covers that difference. It protects you from that potential financial disaster. It's your safety net.
So it sounds like leasing isn't necessarily evil, but maybe sneaky. You're not careful.
That's a good way to put it.
Sneaky.
This raises an important question. What else is hiding in that fine print?
Yeah, beyond those big 3.
Definitely watch out for wear and tear charges. They have definitions of normal wear and anything beyond that, maybe a few door dings, worn tires, interior stains. They can charge you quite a bit for at lease-end.
Okay.
And early termination penalties. Getting out of a lease early if your situation changes. It can be incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
Sometimes more than just buying the car would have cost.
Wow.
So the bottom line is read everything, understand every term, do your own math. If you don't, you could easily end up paying way, way more than you bargained for.
Knowledge is power. Definitely seems true here.
Absolutely.
Okay, after hearing all these potential traps, maybe you, the listener, are feeling a bit like, oh man, the dealership has all the control.
It can feel that way.
But here's the shift. You actually have more power than you think. You really do. It's about recognizing your leverage.
That's so true. One of the biggest things we see again and again in consumer reports and negotiation guides is that almost everything is negotiable.
Not just the sticker price.
Not just the sticker price, though definitely start there, but also the interest rate on the loan.
Or the money factor on the lease.
Yes.
Yes.
And even things like the residual value on a lease, that predicted value at the end, which affects your payment, that can sometimes be negotiated too, especially if you've researched what that car actually tends to be worth.
So don't assume anything is set in stone.
Never assume. Ask. Negotiate.
Okay, so let's give some practical, confident advice. How do you walk in ready?
Preparation is key.
First, research. Know the invoice price, the market value, what similar cars are actually selling for nearby. Use sites like Edmunds, Kelley Blue Book.
Get your baseline numbers. Know what a fair deal looks like before you even talk to them.
Second, and you mentioned math earlier, bring a calculator. Or use your phone.
Yes. Do the math right there. Don't just trust their monthly payment calculation. Check it yourself.
Verify everything. Third, know your numbers. What's your absolute maximum price? Your ideal monthly payment. What are you comfortable with, really?
Have your walkaway point clearly defined in your head.
And that leads to the final, maybe most crucial point. Be willing to walk away.
The ultimate leverage.
Seriously, if the deal isn't right, if they won't meet your numbers, just politely say thank you for your time and head for the door.
It's amazing how often the final offer suddenly becomes more flexible when you start walking.
I heard a story just like that. Someone got called back before they even left the lot with a much better deal.
It happens all the time. Remember, there are other cars, other dealerships. You have options.
Your confidence, backed by that preparation, that's your superpower in there.
Couldn't agree more.
You know, thinking bigger picture.
Yeah.
Buying or leasing a car, it's not just about the money, is it?
Not at all. It touches so many parts of your life. Your freedom, how you get to work, family stuff, and yeah, definitely your long-term financial health.
It's a big piece of your budget and lifestyle.
Huge.
So, before signing on that dotted line, we think you should pause. Ask yourself 3 really important questions.
Good idea. What are they?
First, does this truly fit my budget long term? Not just can I squeak by this month, but for the next 3, 4, 5 years, even with surprises.
The sustainability question.
Second, am I genuinely getting the best possible deal? Did I do the math? Did I negotiate hard? Am I leaving cash on the table?
The value question. Be honest with yourself.
And third, maybe the most gut check one. Will I regret this decision in 6 months or a year? Try to picture future you.
That's powerful, because buyer's remorse on a car is a terrible feeling.
It really is.
And you know, the best car deal, the best car for you isn't always the flashiest one. It's not the most expensive one you can possibly afford.
No.
I truly believe the best car is the one that lets you sleep soundly at night, knowing you made a smart, informed choice that works for your life and your finances. That's the real win.
I love that. Confidence in the decision.
That's the goal.
So look, now you have the knowledge, you have the tools. Go out there, get the keys to that car you want.
But do it smartly.
Yes. Without the nightmares of a bad deal hanging over you. And remember this final thought we want to leave you with. If you don't negotiate, not just on cars, but in lots of situations, you're not just accepting the first offer, you are actively choosing to leave your own money behind.
That's a strong point. Negotiation is claiming value that's rightfully yours to claim.
Think about that. It applies way beyond the car dealership. So what does this all mean?
It means you're equipped.
It means you're empowered. Now go drive a hard bargain.